Welcome to this explainer. It's kind of wild to think about, but the core psychology behind a viral social media ad today is actually exactly the same as a merchant haggling in an ancient stone bazaar. Today, we're going to trace that fascinating evolutionary arc of marketing, from ancient survival tactics all the way to our hyper-connected digital landscape. Whether you're a student, a teacher, or a pro in the field, understanding exactly where marketing came from is honestly the absolute best way to master where it's going next.
Look at this. Modern marketing can feel like an absolute chaotic storm of buzzwords, right? SEO, PPC, neuromarketing, inbound, omnichannel. It is so incredibly easy to feel overwhelmed by all the jargon. But don't worry, our journey today is going to completely organize this chaos into a really clear, logical structure. We're going to strip away all that digital noise and look at the fundamental principles driving human connection. We'll follow a chronological roadmap through 5 distinct eras, anchoring every new, flashy piece of tech firmly back to core human behavior.
So, to make sense of all this, here's our roadmap for today. First, the genesis of exchange. Second, the industrial evolution. Third, the great digital transition. Fourth, psychology and strategic models. And finally, the contemporary marketing landscape. Let's dive right in.
All right, part 1, the genesis of exchange.
Let's start at the very beginning. Long before glowing billboards or targeted banner ads, there was really just human need. Historically, there are exactly 4 ways humans could acquire the things they needed to survive. First, you could self-produce. Go out into the wilderness, hunt, or gather it yourself. Second, coercion, which literally just means taking it by force or fear. Third, application, which is basically a polite way of saying begging. But true marketing, that was born entirely in the fourth option, exchange, offering mutual value. Think about it. The very first marketer was likely just an early human who realized that trading a really well-crafted tool for a piece of food was far safer and way more sustainable than fighting over it.
So the really crucial takeaway here is that marketing was born the exact moment we realized that offering something of value was the absolute best way to get what we wanted. It requires 2 parties, communication, and above all, a mutual right to accept or reject the offer. That right to reject is the bedrock of commerce. It completely removes coercion from the whole equation. At its core, marketing is just about solving a problem for someone else so exceptionally well that they're genuinely happy to solve a problem for you in return.
Moving on to part 2, the industrial evolution.
As society grew way more complex, our methods of exchange had to evolve too. During the early Industrial Revolution, we hit the production era. The focus here was purely on mass-producing cheap goods. Think of Henry Ford's famous line about the Model T. Any customer can have a car painted any color that he wants, so long as it is black. Basically, make it fast and people will buy it. But as competition heated up, just making things wasn't enough anymore. That pushed us into the sales era, filled with slick salesmen and heavy persuasion. Eventually, businesses realized, hey, we should probably research what people actually want, leading to the marketing department era. And that finally brings us to the modern marketing concept era, where the whole philosophy flips. You don't just sell what you make, you figure out exactly what brings the customer deep value, and you build long-term relationships based on that.
Now, to execute all this, old-school marketers relied on a foundational mix known as the 4 Ps: product, price, place, and promotion. But as customer experience became a make-or-break factor for businesses, scholar Jerome McCarthy realized this just wasn't enough. So he expanded it to the 7 Ps, adding people, process, and physical evidence. Let's ground this in reality for a second. Think of your absolute favorite local coffee shop. The coffee itself is the product, the cost is the price, but the friendly barista who remembers your order, that's the people. The cozy vibe and the comfortable chairs, that's the physical evidence. Those experiential layers are what actually keep you coming back. It was a massive leap from just selling a physical item to curating a complete, holistic customer experience.
And this physical, highly localized mix, it worked flawlessly for decades. You put your product in a local store, set a good price, run an ad in the paper, and you're set. But we really have to ask ourselves, how do these rules survive when the internet shows up and connects the entire planet? What happens when your quaint local store is suddenly competing with a global village of thousands of other businesses?
Which brings us perfectly to part 3, the great digital transition.
The technological breakthroughs of the internet completely altered the landscape. It forever changed how buyers and sellers interact. The old traditional way was known as push marketing. Think loud TV commercials or junk mail. It's super expensive, it's a one-way street, and it aggressively pushes a message onto a broad, usually unwilling audience who just wants to get back to their show. But digital marketing, that introduced the power of pull marketing. Because consumers now hold the power to search online for exactly what they want, businesses can place their solutions precisely in the path of people actively looking for them. It's highly targeted, it's a two-way street, and it is way more cost-effective.
For small and medium enterprises, SMEs, adopting these agile digital strategies is an absolute game changer. It basically levels the playing field against massive multinational corporations. Imagine a local artisan crafting leather goods in a tiny rural town. Historically, their customers were just whoever walked past the shop. Today, digital tools eliminate those crazy high costs of traditional TV ads and give those local goods instant global reach. That artisan can run a highly flexible campaign targeting people specifically interested in handmade leather bags in Tokyo, London, or New York. And the best part? Real-time analytics. You no longer have to guess if your marketing is working. The data tells you instantly.
All right, Part 4, Psychology and Strategic Models.
Because here's the thing. Even with all these incredible digital tools at your fingertips, you absolutely cannot succeed without a deep understanding of the human mind. Master copywriters have long relied on the IDA framework to map the exact psychological journey a consumer has to take. You grab their attention, invoke interest, build desire by explaining the benefits, and finally prompt an immediate action. But in our digital age, getting a user to take action often means asking them to adopt completely new tech, like downloading an app or figuring out a digital checkout. This is where the technology acceptance model, or TAM, is so crucial. TAM proves that users will only adopt your tool if they perceive it as two things: highly useful and incredibly easy to use. If your app is confusing or doesn't solve a problem right away, that entire IDA journey just stops dead in its tracks.
And today, we are pushing this psychological understanding even further with the incredibly fascinating field of neuromarketing. We aren't just guessing what people feel through surveys anymore. Researchers are actively analyzing how the human brain literally processes messages. By using tools like eye tracking tech to see exactly where you look on a web page, or using color psychology to trigger subconscious trust, marketers can completely bypass the conscious noise. They can create campaigns that speak directly to our deepest human instincts.
And that leads us to Part 5, the contemporary marketing landscape.
Combining this deep psychology with massive digital reach brings us to where we are today. One of the biggest shifts is content marketing. Instead of aggressively pitching, modern businesses use valuable content to educate and inspire. Actually, you know what? Let's break the fourth wall for a second. By watching this very explainer, you are participating in content marketing right now. We aren't forcing an annoying pop-up ad into your day. Instead, you sought out valuable knowledge. And by providing it, we build authority and credibility. That is the essence of pulling customers in through trust rather than force.
As marketing becomes truly global, we're also seeing the vital importance of cultural empathy. A really fascinating example is the 14 Ps of Islamic marketing. This proves that the future of marketing isn't just some one-size-fits-all algorithm. It takes those traditional Ps and brilliantly blends them with deep ethical and cultural realities, adding crucial elements like privacy, participation, and halal purity. It highlights that even the most sophisticated digital capabilities in the world will absolutely fail if they don't align with the cultural values and empathetic needs of the people they're trying to serve.
Ultimately, it all comes back to this core truth. The mediums will constantly change, and the technology will relentlessly evolve. But fundamental human psychology, that remains exactly the same. Marketing isn't really about the internet or the latest algorithm or some new AI tool. It is, and always has been, about people. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought as you continue your journey in the digital marketplace. As technology grows infinitely more complex, how are you going to use the ancient, simple principle of mutual value to authentically connect with the people who matter most to you? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay curious and keep learning.